From the Stream Center in Abilene, Texas, the home of KTAB and KRBC, this is Cross-Examined on BigCountryHomepage.com.
Well, it was 15 years ago this month that 13-year-old Hailey Dunn was last seen on December 27th and reported missing the very next day by her mom. And joining us to talk about that 15 years ago, very big case back then and remains that way, is Clint Dunn, Hailey's dad, and Erica Morris, who has been investigating this case for several years, and also my co-hosts are here, Erica Garner and Adam Singleton. Welcome to the show, everybody. We will be bringing in Clint Dunn and Erica Morris as we talk about this case. And Clint, one of the very first questions we have for you, Erica and I talked about this, and she was very interested to know. Well, Erica, why don't you just go ask the question? You're interested in knowing in how Hailey grew up, right?
Yeah, we want to know about Hailey, who she was, what she was like, what you would have memories of her. Just talk about her. Talk about Hailey. Tell us about her.
Hailey was just the American girl. She was, 13 years old. She liked to play sports. She played volleyball. She played basketball. She played softball. She was a cheerleader. She was in the martial arts. She was probably a ranked belt in jiu-jitsu.
Oh, that's the first time I've heard that.
She could box. And she was outdoorsy too. She could camp. She would be, she could rough it. And she was just very active. She played a lot. She had really good friends. She, didn't grow up with enemies, or she didn't grow up on the wrong side of the track. She did well in school. She made straight A's. She actually had Duke University looking at her since the third grade.
Oh, wow.
Yep. She was in the third grade. She was writing and reading on the college level. So she was really smart and pretty, and she was the type that she liked pretty things and the glamour, but she also liked holy jeans and the dirt.
I love that. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you got to spend her last Christmas with her, right? Just a couple of days before she was killed. Do you remember that day? What did you guys do?
Yeah, we was at my mom's house, her nana's, in Snyder, Texas, and we spent Christmas Day over there most of the day, and we just had Christmas dinner and presents. And David stayed with Billie Jean, but Billie Jean had actually showed up at my mom's house for about 30 minutes. Her and Shawn did with David, and so it was everybody there for a few minutes, and then Hailey stayed with me and went back to Colorado City, and called it a night. When we went home pretty late. We probably went home probably 10 o'clock on Christmas night.
And Clint, and just so everybody understands, so I drove over to Colorado City the other day just to remind myself, but I remember where Hailey lived with her mom. That house is no longer there. It's long been since demolished. But there was a field in front of that house with a couple of water towers there, and you lived right across that field, correct?
Yep, in the apartment building, straight across from the front door.
So would it be that Hailey would run back and forth across the field? I mean, I would imagine that happened all the time.
Yeah. Yep, that was her path. She used to take straight through the field. Because it's probably about, I don't know, a football field, probably about 300 feet.
Yeah, you
100 yards.
could look right across that field and see your house.
And it's not overgrown or anything.
Not
it's
overgrown.
Just very
no.
open field.
Yeah.
Yep.
Easy walk.
Yeah, there were stickers there, but there were stickers everywhere. So you wasn't getting around the stickers even if you walk on the street in Texas.
It's West Texas, yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned something during the last question, the Christmas y'all spent together. You said that Billie and Shawn showed up with David, Hailey's brother. What was the relationship like between you and Billie, and especially you and Shawn?
Me and Billie were good co-parents. We co-parented. We had split custody of the kids. I got them every other weekend, every other holiday, but we didn't really hold to that. I got them whenever I wanted. She got them whenever she wanted, and we didn't never have no disputes there. And like every weekend, me and the kids were going to the racetrack, and we were going to play laser tag. We were going to the ice skating ring. We were going all over the place, and Six Flags. We had a ball for a few years. Whenever me and Billie Jean split up, we had just a lot of fun.
How
And
how how long had y'all been split up?
2 years,
2 years. Okay. I'm
just
sorry.
about 2 years.
And when did Shawn come into the picture?
Well, so like in June of 2008 is when Billie Jean asked me to leave, and so I left. I didn't really think anything about it. I thought, she'll be asking me back in a few days because we weren't even fighting or anything. We didn't get no big blowout or anything. She just woke up one day and asked me to leave. I'm like, okay, I'll show you. Be wanting me back in a few days. I was confident, but she didn't ask me back. And I found out about 2 weeks later that a week after I left, she had moved Shawn in already.
You think their relationship had already begun before she asked you to leave?
Yeah, I had went back and got my stuff a couple of times, and I had found some pictures in the closet that were just printed out pictures of Shawn, and they had the date on there, and the date was May of that year. So they had probably been seeing each other at least 2 or 3 months
Where did they meet?
before she asked me to leave.
How did they meet? Do you know?
I don't know.
And
I really don't have any idea.
what was he like when you first met him? What were your first impressions of Shawn?
Uh, you know what? I didn't really care about him. I wanted to get, it turned out different than what I thought. I wanted Billie Jean back, you know, just a few weeks later, whenever I found out Shawn was there, I was like, oh man, and it was almost a competition, man. I was watching what I ate. I was working out every day. I was bringing Billie Jean lunch here and there at her work.
Did
I
Hailey
was really
ever
trying to,
did
I
Hailey
was
ever
trying to
talk
get her
about
back.
him?
No, we didn't. I mean, not much, I just, because I didn't want to fight with her. So I didn't even ask her, what's better about him than me. I just was just trying to show her, hey, I'm the dude that you've been with for 14 years. So
You were trying to keep everything peaceful,
I
just
was, I was
for
trying, I was
Haley and
missing
David.
her and trying to manage, I was trying to get this relationship back.
Did you ever or were you ever aware that maybe Billie and Hailey had different perceptions of Shawn? Maybe not for the whole relationship, but there at least is a time in the February, I think, before Hailey was killed, where Billie called 911 and she said that she was afraid of Shawn and she was afraid that he was going to hurt her and he was going to hurt Hailey. Were you ever aware of any situations like that, or did you ever get that kind of vibe from Shawn?
And there was a whole series of 911 calls, and I forgot to pull them for this podcast, but yeah, we have video of a series of 911 calls that Billie made to 911 reporting some sort of violence over there.
I didn't know about any of that until Haley went missing. None of that had ever been brought up to me. Billie Jean or Haley never even said anything about it. I knew that Haley didn't like Shawn, but I figured, it doesn't matter who would have been there. I don't think she would have liked because she wanted her dad.
Yeah.
So I
That's the
didn't
way that
really
goes.
think a whole lot about it. She didn't say how he was doing horrible things to her or anything. She just, wanted dad back. She wanted, the family back together.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know anything about the 911 calls or any fighting that Billie Jean and Shawn might have been having. I wasn't into their life at all. And I only chased after Billie Jean for about 5-6 months.
Yeah.
I tried really hard for about 5 or 6 months to get her back. And then, after that, I gave up and went on my own way. started thinking about how to start getting my life straightened out and stable and everything.
And you say get your life straightened out, and that's one of my big questions, I guess, about Billie and Shawn and their relationship, and that would be the involvement of drugs and that sort of lifestyle and what it might have played. Because I know that Billie is on the record saying the night Hailey was allegedly going to go to your house and or her friend's house, Billie and Shawn were buying drugs. And I know a couple of times during the investigation, one and or both of them were found to be in possession of drugs. So I just want to know if you have any sort of insight as to what that lifestyle played in their relationship and also their relationship with Hailey.
Yeah, I didn't know that there was drugs going on, or the sexual activity also. They were getting into some weird sexual stuff, some deviant acts, and this stuff that is too far out there, and I didn't know about any of this at all.
That kind of brings us to December 27th, the last time that Hailey was seen alive. And as we look on the screen, we were watching a video of Hailey in the hallway of her school. I'm assuming that was before the Christmas break. Now we're out of school on Christmas break. It's the 27th, and Shawn says, and we actually have this clip. Shawn says that Hailey told me she is going over to her dad's. She's going to go stay the night with Mary Beth. I believe that was her name. Did you
Yeah.
know Mary Beth? And did she ever come to your house that day? When was the last time you saw Hailey?
The last time I saw Hailey was that Sunday. So
The
it would have been
26th.
The 26th. Okay. So the 27th was a Monday then, Adam. Okay. And the last time, so she never did go to your house first.
No.
She would have come back from your house the 26th, right? Because her brother, David, saw her playing video games that night at Billie's house, at the house they shared together.
Yeah, there were pictures of her playing the video game that the FBI had acquired. So she was playing the video game that night on the 26th.
Was she playing this game? And again, I'm asking these detailed questions because we've never spent a lot of time on those 2 days and who saw what and where Hailey was seen. But from what I understand, you saw her on the 26th, that Sunday, at about what time, Clint?
About 11 a.m.
11 a.m. Then she
Yeah,
left your home
Yep.
and went home, and then you said she was seen playing video games at about what time? Do we know that?
About night, I think around 9 p.m. at night, and I think the FBI was able to determine she was playing this game for at least a few hours.
So from 11 a.m. That Sunday, on that same day, the next account we have of her, at least on the record, is 11 at night.
9 p.m. at night.
Not 9 p.m. at night.
Yes.
Playing video games.
Yes.
Do you know anything about that time in between, Clint?
No.
But that's not unusual,
I
right?
think it was almost 11 o'clock whenever she got off that video game. So it was, I think it was 10:45 exactly whenever she quit playing the video game. And there's pictures of her playing that video game during that time. Whenever she would reach a higher level, she would get her picture taken. And so, that was the last time, other than Shawn, anybody seen her.
And that was her gaming console in her room? Was it in her brother's room, living room?
It was in her brother's room.
In her brother's room.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I guess he didn't mind her going in there to play.
Yeah, and so that makes sense then that's a verified account with pictures. Yeah. I've never heard that before. And then it seems like the next sightings of Hailey, if we go over the timeline, are basically word of mouth. In the morning, Billie, on her way to work, says that she opened the door and looked in on her as a parent would to her sleeping child. And said she can't say for sure or not if Hailey was in there, but she thought she was in there and she went to work. And then there are some eyewitnesses that, as far as I can tell through my research, have varying credibility, but there apparently was a neighbor who saw Hailey at Billie's house around noon on the 27th. And there also might have been a hairdresser who saw Hailey walking in town with a friend or a child that same day. But I don't know if those are verified accounts. Have you ever heard those, Clint?
Yeah, yeah. The hairdresser was one of David's best friends. Three best friends. It was the Jackson brothers, and it was their grandmother that cuts hair right down the alley, at the end of the alley, at her house is where she cut hair, and I think that she was mistaken because she thinks that she saw Hailey with Isaiah, which was my girlfriend's son that I was with at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then the neighbor that was across the street was apparently a crackhead that, that's nobody could trust.
Well, whether they saw her or not, would this have been before or after she had talked to Shawn and telling Shawn?
Before.
Before.
Okay. Yeah, so this is allegedly the neighbor saw her around noon. I actually don't have a time on the hairdresser, but I do believe it was before then. And then the next alleged call or next sighting, it wasn't a sighting, it was a call with Hailey was Shawn. Actually, it might have been a sighting. I'm so sorry. Maybe Clint, you can shed some insight on this. But either way, she talked to Shawn and she said that she told Shawn that she was going to go to your house and then to Mary Beth's, and she said that she needed to tell Billie about that.
As a matter of fact, why don't we play Manny clip number 3? This is according to Shawn, and we'll all listen to this as soon as we get it pulled up. This is the last conversation that Shawn said that which one is this? This is clip number 3. Hailey's last words to Shawn. Stand by for that. We're all going to listen to this.
Told me, Shawn, I'm going to go by my dad's, and then I'm going to stay the night with my friend Mary Beth. Please tell my mom. Told me, Shawn, I'm going to go by my dad's, and then I'm going to stay the night with my friend Mary Beth. Please tell my mom. Told me, Shawn.
That was an interview with Shawn Adkins, as you know, talking about the last time he talked to Hailey.
And that sounds just, it was usual for her to go back and forth across that small field. So
yeah, Clint already talked about that. Exactly.
It just sounds like.
So par for the course there, I guess, right?
What did you think hearing Shawn say that? Do you think it's believable? Did you believe him the first time you heard it? Do you believe him now?
Yeah, the first time that I heard it, I wasn't really looking at Shawn as a suspect, I didn't know what to think. I was looking everywhere. And so, but, now thinking about it, and that since then, thinking about it so much, Hailey wouldn't have went to Shawn like that, like his parent figure, and said, hey, I'm going to do this. She wouldn't have said anything to him. I'm pretty sure. If she would have just, went to my house, she would have just walked over.
So when did you start to realize that Shawn might have had something to do with Hailey's disappearance?
Not for a long time. I was really, especially the first, until her remains were found, I didn't want that to have happened. I didn't want that to be the case. And so I wasn't thinking about it until, after the remains were found. And then, it was all in front of me. I just didn't want to see it. I just didn't want that to be it.
Because I know pretty early on they were serving search warrants, I guess, on Billie's home. I don't know if they searched your home. I know at one point they were trying to serve some sort of a search warrant involving Shawn, and Billie was actually arrested because she lied to police allegedly about Shawn's whereabouts. That was pretty early on in the investigation? Was that just what you guys were going through as being affiliated with the missing person, or were they specifically focused on Shawn at that point? Do you remember?
Yeah, well, that's where, questions of mine come up now. Some whys that I have, because, they did search my apartment, and they arrested me for having a cannabis bud. I had a one joint of cannabis, and it was put up in the top shelf, and so I got arrested that night. And then Billie Jean gets arrested a week later or so for hiding Shawn in the closet and lying to the police saying that he wasn't there whenever they had a search warrant to a body search. And so, you know, I don't, and Billie Jean had also, she had lied to the police about several things, and they wasn't hounding Billie Jean at first. It just seemed like they were on to me. They arrested me the very first night. I was being arrested whenever I was, looking for my daughter.
Did you ever feel like they considered you a suspect?
No, it wasn't that. It was just, they were just. It wasn't that they were just like trying to get me out of the way. It seemed like, and it's always been like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's always felt like they were just trying to get me to shut up, get me out of the way. And now they try to hurt me, and they mess with my life now, and they're damn sure not helping me, and they're damn sure not helping this case.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that they wanted you out of the way, and why did do you think that the focus should have been more on to finding Hailey rather than, hey, what's the dad up to?
And Clint, before you answer that, we're gonna think about that for a second. We're gonna take a quick break, and we're gonna be right back, and continue this conversation. 15 years ago, this month, Hailey Dunn was reported missing. We'll be right back.